Welcome to the Four Brewers Podcast. My name is John Holzer, and the screen's black. Let's start that over. Welcome to the Four Brewers Podcast. My name is John Holzer, and as always, I'm joined by
Jason Harris
and Greg Nagel.
And this week on the show, we're doing another round of Mexican lager. It's been a hell of a week here in the United States, to say the least. And this was Jason's idea. What was your reasoning behind this?
It's winter, and I'd rather be on a Mexican beach than in America.
I'd rather be anywhere than in America right now, but
I mean, not like
go to Mexico,
Siberia or some shit.
Well, yeah, Antarctica would be kind of bad, I guess. It's cold, very cold there.
Yeah,
maybe Greenland too. And Donald Trump got banned from Twitter, which is
owned
about 4 years too late. But at least it happened. I don't know if you guys saw the drama with that. Like, he got banned, and then he immediately went to the POTUS account and did 5 tweets from there, which Twitter deleted. And then he went to one of his assistants' accounts and tweeted from there. And then they got the Team Trump account, and they deleted the Team Trump account. And then they went one more account that I can't remember.
Like, he's going full on. It's like 2005 something awful forums where he's just like just dropping $10 to re-reg fucking over and over.
I mean, Twitter's his life, right? His life is watching Fox News or whatever, OAN at this point, and tweeting. That's it. And
oh man,
Jack took it away from him. So
it's great.
That's something to celebrate. And we're going to.
What are we going to talk about? What are we going to talk about in like 2 weeks? Like nothing. It's going to be great.
Yeah, there's already articles going up, saying, you guys already miss him. You missed the drama.
Oh God, yeah.
Fuck no.
I mean, 5,000 people a day or something are dying from a pandemic. So I mean, we do have problems to address.
Yeah, I do not care about Donald Trump being off of Twitter now. I'm happy that I don't have the option to see his mind, poo-poo.
I'm just like, all of these fucks are like, yeah, I'm fed up. I'm going to Parler. Why are you telling? Why do I see this? I'm not on Parler. Go to Parler then.
Yeah,
have fun. I don't care.
Yeah, like
I never followed Trump on Twitter just because, like, I don't need more drama in my life. Like,
yeah, you don't have to though. It's just
you don't have to.
It's fucking everything.
Yeah, it's on everything he says is spewed on every social media, anyways. So why should I follow?
I had him in a list with Kellyanne Conway and one other person, I believe. I forgot who, because I didn't want to actually follow the guy. So if I wanted to see his tweets, I could, but they wouldn't just show up in my timeline automatically.
Gotcha.
But I'm glad he's gone.
But moving on to Mexican lagers.
How's that wall going, by the way? You ever finish that?
So we were going to do the Mother Earth one, right, John? John and I have a lot of the same beers today. I bought a bunch. So
did you go to Gerard's, Jason?
No, I went to fucking Total Wine.
Oh wow, they had like almost every single beer that you got. I mean, they did have every single beer that you got. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, Jason and I are kicking it off with Hola. No, that's a different beer. With I lost it. Tierra Madre from Mother Earth Brewing Company out of San Diego. And Greg put out the bat signal on Instagram to get some local Orange County Mexican lagers, and Instagram came through. What are you starting with,
dude?
Greg?
I am OC Beer Blog on Instagram, and I figured I need to represent my home turf a little bit because everybody's struggling like you wouldn't believe. Yep. And I drove up to Stanton, a new brewery called Bearded Tang. They're in this really cool, like shared space with other restaurants, sort of like a packing house sort of situation, but really beautiful little spot with glass windows, breweries in the back, lots of taps up front. And the place is dead, obviously, because of COVID, but you just walk in, get your order, and you can order online. And I picked up Bearded Tang's. What's the name of the beer, actually?
Carlos Danger?
Carlos Danger, yeah. You know, Jared from Tustin, he's one of the brewers there. Him and Jonathan I can never pronounce his name.
Yeah, I can't pronounce his last name either. Sorry, Jonathan.
Chiusano.
Is that a
super nice guy?
Parks and Rec reference?
I don't know.
Carlos Danger. I think that's.
I think so.
That sounds like a
like his FBI agent name or whatever.
Yeah, but you know Jonathan from Taps and Corona. He's part of the Taps team that won all those awards for brewing lagers. And I figured, you know, if anybody can make a good lager, it's those two dudes. And of course, what I poured in the glass is actually, you know, it's more like on the Vienna malt side, not necessarily golden. It's got a little tan to it, like it's been sitting on a Mexican beach for a little bit.
By the way,
Burt Macklin is the FBI agent from
it's actually a weird dated political reference. That was remember that dude Anthony Weiner who had the last name Weiner and got caught with dick pics? His like screen name that he used to send dick pics was Carlos.
That's right. Dude, people trying to send dick pics online always have the cheesiest weird names. Like
don't send people your dick. Like unless they're like, hey, you know what would be fucking cool? If you showed me your dick, then you'd be like, okay, here it is. But otherwise, like, just don't send it, man.
And he would send
what you're saying is you want my picture of my dick, Jason? I'll send it right now.
And he would have like a half chub and like he's wearing tidy whities and sending that first. It's like a teaser pic. And I'm like, oh God, that's even creepier. Wow. Yeah, Carlos Danger. Well, there we go. Didn't think we'd talk about that today.
Thanks, Bearded Tang.
Yeah, this beer from Mother Earth. They're, I think, most well known for their cream ale called Cali Creamin', which I think if they were to not put vanilla in it would be a pretty good cream ale. But they put a lot of vanilla in that beer.
So much fucking vanilla.
That's its gimmick, and I get it. And I mean, I think a lot of people like that beer. I think it's probably one of their most popular beers, and it's just not for me. It's too much vanilla. But overall, I think Mother Earth is a pretty clean brewery. They tend to make good beer overall, but they definitely fly under the radar. You don't hear about them at all, really.
That I remember the one time I tried Cali Creamin'. It was so much vanilla. I dumped it out, and then I poured another beer in my glass, which tasted so much like vanilla. I had to dump it out.
Just get a new glass,
just from the remnants. Yeah, basically,
dude, it's like ice baby.
Yeah, it's very heavy on the vanilla, and cream ale is such a delicate beer as it is. You can easily overwhelm it with vanilla, but I mean,
that's not what we're drinking though. So
yeah, we're not drinking that. I think it's a good beer. It's just too much vanilla. But that being said, this beer is pretty clean for what it is. This is 4.5%, I believe.
You know what's interesting is they say they use Vienna malt and corn, but this is not. It looks like it has more color on camera than it does. This is if you told me this was, Miller Lite, I would not argue with you.
Yeah,
based on the color. It's
not the lightest beer I've ever seen. It's definitely got like a light yellow character to it, but it's crystal clear. It looks like what you would think, a Mexican.
But I would not guess Vienna malt. Vienna's kind of a browner malt, so
yeah, it's not necessarily like Munich where it's darker, like a rosy. It's sort of in the middle of Two Row and Munich,
right? It's got more of a bread character, a little bit of a sweet note that you're going to get left over from it, but it's definitely not in the brown territory. It's maybe mid to darker yellow, I'd say. So when you dilute it with everything else, it'll just give the beer a yellow tint, which I think that's what's going on with this.
And then brewed with corn, which is pretty typical for your Mexican lager. I think when you're not doing the Vienna lager amber side of Mexican lager, I think corn is pretty traditional. They're basically like a weird hybrid of American light lagers and German lagers.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, going back to Mexico before, the Germans and Austrians took over, in I think it was mid 19th century. That's what sort of led to all these beers being brewed in Mexico. And the tradition was to make corn, like a corn beer, I think tepache, something like that. You can still find it in street corners around Anaheim, which is rad. It's like a sweet fermented corn beverage, sort of masa based. It's really interesting. So if you ever see one on a corner, like in your neck of the woods, I've seen one on like somewhere around Moreno Valley, like a lady with a rainbow umbrella with a sign that says Tepache Tawino or something like that.
Yeah, if you go through Santa Mateo Canyon, there's like 2 or 3 little vendors that I love it, because when you come to the main road that you turn right or left to go to Beaumont or Redlands, it says no, you know, you can, what's the word I'm looking for? Not soliciting, but you can't sell stuff there. It's that you know it's got a big sign, and they can't. They just set up right in front.
Yeah,
I love it. It's perfect.
Yeah. So anyways, the dude who I think his name was Anton Dreyer from Austria learned the technique of malting and stuff like that, like indirect kilning, so the malt wasn't super dark like Munich malt was back in the day with Märzen's. And so he brought that over, that technology at the time, and made Vienna lager. I mean, it was more amber at the time, I would assume. And I would assume they also lightened the body and the color with some corn in there. Or maybe maybe it was hard to get malt back then. I don't know.
And the my understanding, at least in the American brewing industry, is the purpose of corn or rice as they used it was just because like Pilsner malts weren't really available in an affordable sense. Like you could technically expensive ship them from Europe or whatever, but it just wasn't really viable. And so the entire purpose of corn and rice and beer was to lighten the beer when your malts tended to be darker malts. So
yeah.
It's also a fermentable, right? I mean, it can substitute for
absolutely highly
lack
fermentable
of malt that you're missing.
Yeah, but the common tale, and I've told this story on the show before, but it's okay. That it was done as a cheapening process. It was actually more expensive when they started doing it. And honestly, from a commodity scale, I'd be really curious to see, like, how much does Budweiser pay for their rice syrup versus what they pay for barley malt? I'm like, is the price really that different?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but what I'm getting at is in Mexico and in the 19th century, how much barley fields were happening in Mexico. That was probably really expensive to get everything imported from what I assume to be like upper US or Canada, where most malt is made now.
Yeah, that could make sense.
I really have to do more research on the Pilsner lager style. Like, I know Pilsner and lager, they're similar styles, but they're different. Like, they come from different parts of the world. And I still don't quite understand how, I understand like Vienna, like Mexican lager is influenced from Vienna lager, but I just know that from what I've learned on the show. I mean, like, I want to do like a more in-depth like research on it, like something you do for the Cicerone test, where, you actually know the origins of things, because it still is kind of fractured in my head. I can't nail a style and say, oh, this is this type of lager and this is this type of lager, and it comes from this region and also this region, because it's still kind of, like I said, fractured in my head.
Yeah, and I think it's a bit of a symptom of the fact that in craft beer, so much of the branding, especially like 10 years ago, was, lagers are bullshit. Come drink good beer with us, and there was so much of that mentality of just like, oh, you drink lagers? Well, okay, but you'll graduate to real beer soon, like that kind of thing. And so people don't really know about lager. They don't really take it seriously. Like, it's just, oh, that's just a crap from the bottom of the tank, and they just put it in there and market it at you with a titty, and there you go. Like,
here's your titty. Here's your titty beers.
One titty per beer.
One thing that's interesting about these styles of lager is that they're more crafted based on what they had at that specific time in that nation, depending on the weather, depending on their water. That's sort of how those styles got forged. Not by some dude going, yeah, I need to tweak my recipe this way and they're brewing with water and they're picking their hops that they planted and they're growing their malt, and that's what the beer tasted like.
They're working with what they have available to them, which is, that's how most styles of beer became those styles.
Yeah, like Pilsner. Pilsner is from Pilsen, which has really soft water, and so they overhop it because the hops aren't as harsh. And that's sort of how that hoppy style got made. And Munich Helles is like the opposite of that. So they had really harsh water, so they're overhopping it meant the beer was really harsh. So they stripped down the hops, and that's a Munich Helles.
Just because we didn't talk about it much, this beer is super crushable. No, it's super clean. I already finished. I didn't pour the whole can in there, but I poured a good half of it, and I'm already finished with my portion. Exactly what you'd want out of that kind of Mexican lager. It doesn't have that Corona funk, which I think a lot of people associate is that it's deliberate, but it's not.
Yeah.
But speaking of clear bottle funk.
Hey, is that the gold medal award-winning Chihuahua Cerveza?
God damn it. Did it win an award?
It sure did.
Oh, you can get the app.
They have an app?
Yeah, like what's the at the bottom?
Get the app, and it brings like a real-life Chihuahua in your like augmented reality on your phone.
Oh, that's kind of fun. Oh, okay. At least they're trying. Like, I'll give them credit for that.
I mean, they could try making good beer, but, whatever.
They're in Newport Beach.
We'll see.
They're a Newport Beach thing. They have a restaurant in sort of by where Brewco was. And I think their beer is made in Buellton, which is code for...
There's our boy, the Chihuahua himself.
The Chihuahua, yeah. I think it's made at Fig Mountain.
Yeah, for sure. It looks like it.
But dude, beer to tang, this Mexican lager is everything you want out of one. It's bright and clean. It tastes like a Mexican lager, easily crushable. I want to go back and get more because it's really good.
So let's see. Not particularly skunky. Considering it's a full-on clear bottle, I wonder if they use the treatment or whatever to.
They've got to, right? I mean,
because it doesn't have that skunky funk. It's from 302
skunk funk.
Oh, 302-19. Oh, this is it must be.
Yours is from 2019.
I think so. It says
Mine's
302, so that's the day, and then 19, which I think is the year.
Mine is labeled 09/03/2020, so it's fairly fresh, I'd say. When it comes to lager in general, it doesn't have to be as fresh as IPA. It can hold up a little longer. I think the oldest one I have is a year old, which I think is a little too old, but we'll see how it goes.
Well, we'll see how this thing goes.
So didn't we have this on the show at some point? It wasn't in like one of our showdowns, but I think Greg brought it.
I brought one right when they started showing up on my shelves, and I was like, "This is they call themselves an Orange County brewery. They are craft brewed, although contract. And apparently they've gotten better with a GABF award. So I give them props.
This is pretty good, but yeah, I think it's just old.
Mine has kind of it's got an interesting hop character on it. I did not expect to get that from it. It's like a almost borderline fruity tropical, but very, very like low key.
What's the alcohol in it?
It's like more of a funky tropical thing.
It's 5, Greg. I believe
5%.
It's
I know
very, very big on the bottle.
They have of course, because like they want people to know that you're getting your bang for your buck.
They have another one. Yeah, they have another one that was 6.5 too. I think they made it kind of sound like tequila, So this is the Primero, and then there was a couple other ones that were like just the same thing but higher alcohol.
Okay.
Yeah. Jason got his at Total Wine. I got mine at Gerard's, and they had the same 3 beers there. So.
And if you want to go back in time, we tried this beer 2018 on episode 217, our pre-California Craft Beer Summit.
You did not like it. Was this Chihuahua piss or something like that?
I was bracing for just a real shit pile of a beer, and it's not that, but it does taste kind of oxidized.
Mine is not oxidized. This is, like I said, if yours is from 2019... it might be having issues at this point, but mine's, from September of last year, and it's holding up pretty well. I don't mind this at all. I thought I mean, looking at it in a clear bottle, you expect something like Corona that's kind of watery, kind of thin, really doesn't have any flavor. It's just, you have to add a lime to make it interesting, and this has some body to it. It's got a nice malt character going on. You can taste a little bit of like a toasted, biscuit thing happening with it, and a little bit of a fruit flavor from the hops. I think it's actually a pretty good beer.
Would you say it's a Limp Biscuit?
No.
This is how we learn.
I don't know how much I paid for this. If they're charging premium prices for this, I don't know if I would pay premium prices for this, but as a one-off, or if it was something that was at a restaurant, if we ever get to go to restaurants again, I would definitely get it with tacos or something, or anything that would pair well with a lager. It's pretty good.
I'd rather have like Pacifico or something.
I opened up a Chapman crafted out of orange, Permanent Waves. It's their Mexican style lager, and their 3-word descriptor. You know how like Modern Times has 3-word descriptors for their beers.
Yeah,
this is crisp, clean, break.
Break.
I don't know.
BRAKE or BREAK?
Like take a break.
Okay, got it.
Like take a break from
or there's
the
like
boys.
a break in the ocean, like you're gonna go surfing or something.
Got it.
It's Chapman is known for really good crisp lagers. I don't know if you've ever had Chapman crafted pills.
Yep.
Or Wee Chef, or they have a beer called Blogger, which is their black lager.
That's
super good.
Honestly, anything from Chapman is really good. I haven't had a bad beer from that place ever. I mean, no, maybe I had like a mediocre beer that's like, man, I don't know if I'd buy that again, but it's nothing ever that's been bad.
I miss them.
Chapman crafted hits pretty hard.
They have a drive-through happening right now, which is super rad. You just pull up. They have like a merch counter, like next to your car. You put in your order. They bring it out. Everybody is, wearing masks and gloves, and it's a rad situation. You can order online. I love that.
I hope
phenomenal. That. What's that?
I hope more breweries keep that.
Oh man, you have no idea.
Like, being able to just order online, go pick it up, and like be done with it, like that rule.
I was going to say, Yvonne and I had our first experience with contactless pickup, but it was at Best Buy because we bought a spin bike, and we went there. They have 2 parking spots, I think, or 2 or 3 parking spots. You go to your order online, you check in, tell them which spot you're in, and tell them what your car looks like. And I just left the hatchback open. Dude pulls up with the bike. They're supposed to look at your phone and like check a number on it to make sure it's you, but like it was before they opened and we're the only one in the parking lot. So dude threw the bike in the back of the car, closed it up. He's like, see you guys later. I'm like, sweet. That was awesome.
Keep it up. Yeah.
But you can do that with anything at Best Buy. Like you could just, whatever, like just go shopping online and just bring it out and throw it in your car. It's amazing. I love it.
I've done that to Home Depot too. It's super cool. Yeah, I hope this continues. Like Green Cheek has a drive-through too, where you just pull up and they hand you a piece of paper. You circle what you want. They go grab it. You hand them your card, pay and go.
I mean, aside from the pandemic, it's another way to sell product, and it's efficient. And if you don't want to go inside and hang out, especially at a place like Green Cheek, that's usually always busy, it's a nice option to just order online and say you're coming home from, I don't know, the movies or something, or, dinner, and you want to have some beers at home, just order on your way to Green Cheek, swing by, throw it in your car, and you're in and out. It's great.
Dude, this beer, Permanent Waves, is so good. It almost makes me want to cry. It's like the perfect Mexican lager. Really? It's so crisp and so bright. It's got a nice hot bite at the end to sort of clean it up. It's just one of those like super special beers that I'm going to go back and buy more of. It's so good.
What was the color of the beer?
It's super golden. There's not much color to it at all.
Got it. I was thinking it was darker for some reason, but yeah. But this Chihuahua Cerveza, the Primero,
it's way better than I remember it.
Yeah.
I remember it being real bad.
To say about it.
So do you want to move on to something a little more malty, John? I don't know why I said it all seductive.
What are you speaking of, Jason?
You want to get that malt, John? You want to get some of that malt?
Are you talking the Sublime beer or Casa
uh,
Azul?
yeah, let's do the Sublime one.
Because Casa Azul is, I think, a red lager, or no? I'm not sure.
It's an amber lager.
It's an amber. Okay, yeah. But yeah, we can do
Um,
the Sublime beer. Sure.
It's a blue
So
house.
notably, they have really increased the prominence of the AleSmith branding on this beer. The AleSmith logo, I remember not being on the top before. I remember it just saying Sublime. And then on the back of the can, it's like, by the way, AleSmith makes this. It's not the ghost of Brad Noel fucking running a mash tun.
I don't practice Santeria. I ain't got no crystal malts.
God damn it.
Yeah, to me, it just looks like the typical AleSmith branding now. I mean, how long have they been making this beer? Like 3 or 4 years?
Yeah. No, see, this one looks pretty different. Look, the small can compared to yours. Like the AleSmith feels more prominent than the Sublime now, and then
Oh yeah, and even the typeface on the top of the can is different from mine. It's like their newer branding.
yeah, it's like all the Sublimey stuff is a little bit smaller, and all the AleSmith stuff is bigger.
I wish I would have grabbed an actual 40 of this beer. That was such a cool gimmick.
Yeah, I wish I would have gotten that too. I was just like a 40 ounce to freedom.
Oh, that'd be cool.
It's such a great song too, right?
It is. It's their best one. And then they just play Badfish on K-Rock all the time. It's like, you know what? Maybe play 40 ounces to freedom one of these fucking days.
You know, Badfish is about heroin.
I heard that somewhere the other day.
I think it was Punk Rock MBA on the. Yeah. I didn't know that. That makes sense now.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, 2 lines into the song, you're like, oh yep, makes perfect sense.
Heroin.
So, this beer is lighter than I remember. I remember it being kind of like a kind of dark caramelly color, and this is just very. I'm more on the yellow side of amber.
Yeah, compared to the Chihuahua Cerveza, I've got some left over in the bottle. Yeah, it's definitely more orange. Way more orange than the Chihuahua Cerveza.
And you or listeners with a sharp memory, you might remember that this beer got 5th place on our Mexican Lager Showdown back in 2017. It was season 4, episode 34, the Mexican Lager Showdown, which eventually was won by another beer that I think we have. Do we both have it? The 21st?
El Soli, yes, we do. Yeah. I do have it. It might be older, though, but I do have it.
I'll probably drink that one a little bit, because that one rules.
Yeah, that show we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 15 beers. 16 beers, actually. No, 15. On here was Los Locos from Epic, which you got that beer? I don't think you got that beer, Jason. I got the Los Locos for this show. I think we had it on the show, but it wasn't in the competition for some reason. I have to go back and listen. But man, those showdown shows are really fun. Once things get back to normal, we definitely have to do some kind of a showdown show, even if it's a style we've already done before. Like just because
we haven't done a showdown in forever. Yeah.
It's hard. They're difficult to do on the internet, coordinating and getting the right beers and having someone bring us the beer so we don't know what they are, or I don't know, labeling in some way.
What would be interesting about us doing them remote is that we're all buying them from different sources, and they would all be different ages, and what might be a really good beer for John might be really shitty for me if it's old.
I think that would taint the results, though. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
And
but
it also means that
the average would average out, I would hope.
It also means that like each one of us is going to open a full beer, so you can't do like a 15 beer showdown unless you're just drain pouring all that shit.
Oh, it's a big waste of money too.
Or you're doing 14th show.
I mean, I'm sure Tim would not participate in that show.
Tim, we're gonna get in front of our computers and slam 14 beers. Are you in?
I'm down. Like,
yeah, we can try. I didn't say we shouldn't try. I'm just saying logistically it'd be a pain in the butt. But
Since cheap beer since Cheap Beer Corner is on hiatus, we'll just finally do that blind BMC showdown that we've been wanting for this whole time.
Funny you brought that up. I mean, because we do Cheap Beer Corner in your garage, which is kind of outdoors, and I thought I'd buy another table and just have a camera on you, and then Matt's on the other side of the garage, and then I would just put you guys together, but you would actually be like, 15 feet apart. I don't know. It'd be cool to get more Cheap Beer Corner episodes, but right now it's just not feasible.
Nah, we'll be out of this shit one day.
Yeah,
one day.
Sure. So I opened up a beer that was just released today. It's from Gunwale Ales in Orange and Costa Mesa, called Cerveza De La Mesa. It's at first it says almond really big on the front of the can, which I'm like, is that an almond beer? But no, it turns out it's a collaboration with the surfboard company in Orange County called Almond.
Oh,
5.5%. And what's unique about it is it uses Neo Mexicanus hop varietal, which is a truly American hop variety. It's been grown in the New Mexico mountains wild for thousands of years. And
really?
Sierra Nevada, or somebody, I assume some home brewer moved up to the mountains and figured out that hey, I'm going to start brewing with this hop. And Sierra Nevada found out about it, and I think they did their first wild hop harvest with it. I think a few years ago, and they described it as kind of woody. Yeah, Neo Mexicanus.
Huh.
There's two varietals. There's Zappa, and I forget the other one, but one's like one's sort of like a noble hop where it's got super low alpha acid, and I think it's Meridian, or it starts with the M. But the other one's more of like a dank passion fruit, and kind of a crazy thing to throw in a Mexican style lager, but because it really stands out. It's very dank. It's very prominent.
That's from New Mexico, you said?
Yeah. It's a clever name. Get it? Neo Mexicanus is the Latin name for a New Mexico hop.
New Mexico,
right,
yeah.
Right. Just verifying. God, not many New Mexican, not many breweries from New Mexico. I can't think of one actually.
Marble?
Yeah, I guess maybe.
Oh, yeah.
That sounds right.
Marble Brewing in New Mexico, and then La Cumbra are two really good ones.
Oh yeah,
two really solid breweries out of that area for sure.
But wow, this is like, if you want to get familiar with a Neo Mexicanus hop, this is like up in your face. It's so just dank and fruit.
Who made that again, Greg?
This is Gunwale.
Okay, sweet.
And Gunwale Ales, and this is a lager, so shame on them.
This is the stuff that I really enjoy in the world of craft beer, where you're just like, yeah, some Yahoo discovered 20 years ago a weird wild hop variety in New Mexico, and it's kind of obscure and weird, and they made a beer with it, and it's really cool and interesting, and like that's the kind of stuff I like. You don't just have to throw breakfast cereals in there.
No doubt, yeah. I think that's that's where the that's where I get romantic about beers. And same thing with wine. Like, wine is all about where the grapes are grown, and beer is all about where the hops are grown and the hop varietals. And a beer like this really puts the hops on a pedestal. You really get to learn what they can do, sort of like the single hop variety beers that like Noble did, the Shower series. Super fun. It's very educational, and it like registers in your brain like, oh, that's what I'm tasting. Like, that's that hop. So next time you go to the homebrew store and you're going to make a beer, you're like, these are the 3 flavors I want to go for.
Yeah. And
hopefully end up with a good result.
Going back to the Sublime beer, reading the notes that Jason wrote for the showdown. Again, when we do those showdowns, we do them blind. And Jason, like I said, writes the notes for these showdowns, and he wrote that we all smelled, quote, craft beer notes on the notes, which is funny. Jason picked up a bit of a cherry aroma, and after further analysis, Greg got a bit of huskiness, which I get that, yeah. Jason got squaw bread character, and I got a really big corn aroma and flavor. And I remember that I remember doing the showdown, and this beer did smell very, very corn-like. Now, not so much.
Which beer is that?
again,
The 21?
No, this is the Sublime beer from AleSmith.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The Husky beer.
I mean, again, we do those shows blind, and so when you do it blind, your senses, I think, are more sensitive. Because especially when you're trying beer after beer after beer, because no two beers are going to be the same. If Jason were here, I would ask him if he still gets the cherry aroma. But for me, I do get the huskiness and a corn aroma, but not huge. It's more balanced, I think. And when we did the showdown, again, we did this in 2017. I think this beer was pretty new, and I think over the years, AleSmith have refined the recipe a little bit to make it more balanced, and it shows. Still a great beer though. It's really good.
I mean, doing that showdown, even 3-4 years ago now, there wasn't a lot of craft Mexican lagers out. I think we started seeing them on the shelves, and we're like, hey, let's do a showdown. I think that was the impetus for it.
Yeah.
But I think these breweries have vastly improved their lagering process. I don't think it was like down pat back in the day, 4 years ago in the craft beer, everything I've had today is stellar. Like these are all banger beers.
On the showdown, 10 of the 15 beers were macro beers.
Yeah.
So we have come a long way because there are definitely more craft breweries making Mexican lager. And I think that falls in line with breweries overall getting more into lager. And so when you get more into pills and lager, it's like, well, let's really kind of go to the other subsets of that style. And, so we have like a variety of lager rather than just this is our lager and this is our light lager or whatever. This is our pills. So, yeah.
I had 15 replies to my Instagram request of breweries that had them. So
that's great.
And I think it's getting over craft beers idea that lagers are weak and the other beers are good.
Yeah.
Right.
Jason, I brought up on the showdown we did. You wrote the notes for the blog post on this, and you wrote that overall we smelled craft beer notes on the beer. Again, we do these blind, and you picked up a bit of a cherry aroma. Do you still get that cherry aroma on this?
On the AleSmith, huh?
Yeah.
Maybe I can see where I'm getting that. I'm getting more of like a caramel malt though.
I also wrote that I got a really big corn aroma, and you got squaw bread character as well.
I still get a lot of that brown bread. Yeah, for sure.
I think for me, and like I told Greg, the corn has really been mellowed out. I think it's this was back in 2017 when we did the show, and I think they refined the recipe over the years, but and for good because it's still a very good beer. It's quite crushable. And I mean, for it being a gimmick beer with Sublime's name on it, it's not just like a beer that, you're going to buy for the band, like with its name on it. It's a really good beer.
What's the ABV on it?
5.2.
5.2. Well, that's not really date rapey.
It can be if you add something to it.
Date rape, certainly.
God damn it.
So bad.
When I was
14,
14, that song was like fun and edgy, and then 39 years later, because I'm now 73 years old. The math, don't do the math. God, I'd never want to hear that fucking song again. It's so dumb.
Ever. Just tune into K-Rock at any point. There's
it's on right now.
It's on right now, or keep them separated. It's that or that song.
Didn't they change their format though? I think like a year ago. They changed it to more like that emo rap kind of thing.
They moved it to music that people under 30 listen to these days instead of just being a de facto classic rock station.
I'm okay with that. Like, because honestly, it's just weird. Back when they were still doing the, it was Red Hot Chili Peppers, Sublime,
every other song,
and songs from the 80s and Social Distortion. I would turn it on and just be like, oh God.
Oh, here we go again.
So bad.
Walk away.
Yeah.
Take away.
Man, Social Distortion also not good.
Orange County as well.
Don't at me.
Orange County.
Don't at me, guys. I don't want to hear about Social Distortion. I know you've got a little skeleton with a martini glass tattoo, but look, let's just all move on.
I grew up listening to them, and they don't stand up to, like, I was putting out every 10 years of my birth. I put out a playlist on Spotify of like songs that I listened to in that decade. And I have like my teenage years, my 20s, 30s, 40s. And so I go through and I'm like, hey, I was listening to Social D back in the day. And I'm like, man, these songs just don't hold up anymore.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
I mean, like, I don't know. Ball and Chain would probably be fine if I hadn't heard it 300 fucking times.
Exactly. Take away. See him live. It's like he drags that note on. Take away this one. Everybody's like, oh my God. Shut up, Mike.
I will say one thing I respect about Social D, when they got to the point where they could easily play pretty big places, they still did lots of like, hey, we're going back to our hometown and we're going to play like the House of Blues 10 nights in a row instead of doing like a really big show. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. At least you're preserving that like cool club experience, even though, you know, the band has probably grown past it.
Yeah.
I once saw him at the University of Redlands, and it was a $5 show, and they were serving Cokes and sandwiches.
Do you see him outside?
It was inside this little like hall or something.
Oh, okay.
Somebody broke the window, and then
so I've
we played there as well, but we were outside
at U of R. So you were in the big like amphitheater, right, John?
Yeah, we were outside.
Yeah,
the amphitheater,
I saw ska shows at both. I saw Save Ferris at the inside one, and then trying to remember who I saw at the outside one. I think it was Homegrown or some band like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It was a bad show. It was a bad lineup, and no one was there. It was kind of disappointing.
Sad.
I remember at that show, I don't remember what band it was, but I remember my friend was with me, and he lost his shoe in the crowd.
How do you lose your shoe?
Dude, what? You lose your shoe, man. Like someone flat tires you and you're like in the pit or something, and your shoe just fucking comes right off, and you're like, well,
you wear Doc Martens, my man.
Well, yeah, I'm not from the 80s, Greg.
He's wearing big fluffy DC shoes.
I still wear the same fucking shoes I did when I was a teenager.
I'm not a
slip-on Vans.
Yeah, am I gonna read a Crow comic and smoke some fucking cloves while I'm at it? That's some Gen X shit right there.
I know. I actually have Crow comics in my attic.
The Crow ruled, but anyways, my buddy lost his shoe, and then at the end of the show, we waited for everyone to leave, and then somebody just goes, "Whose gigantic shoe is this?" And he's like, "That's me." And we found his shoe. So, more of the story. We found.
How was the show, man? I lost a shoe.
Don't look now, but I lost my shoe.
That sounds like a banjo song. Don't look now, but I lost my shoe.
It's in a fucking Buddy Holly by Weezer.
Is it?
Like, oh no!
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Don't look now, but I lost my shoe. Another song that would be great if I hadn't heard it 3,000 fucking times.
Exactly. So, Jason, I just opened up a Lumino from Unsung.
Sweet.
Lumino. I guess it's named after some baseball guy who can throw baseballs really fast.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, that's the story.
Like from history or from like the 80s?
No, it's an unsung superhero that they made up.
Oh, okay. Oh, not
yeah.
really.
I'm sure there's a website about it, but it's a really good Mexican lager. I've had it thousands of times, and this one's way more corny than the other ones I've had. And sort of when you're doing all these beers back to back to back, you can start to pick out the corn more in others than some of the early ones. This one is heavy on it. It's got that sort of. How would you describe corn in a beer? It's sort of funky, sort of sweet. It's like sweet skunky funk, but without the skunky.
Yeah, I think a lot of people when they think corn, they think like cream corn, and it's not that. It's that's an off aroma. For me, corn, it comes off. It's like a heavy malt character.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, because you can't really smell corn in a beer. It just smells like it's got this really like thick, heavy malt presence without it being like something like a I don't know, like an amber beer. You know, it's not a caramel malt character. It's like a really heavy kind of bread character, but it smells sweet at the same time. It's kind of hard to describe.
I know. I'm kind of disappointed that corn doesn't come across as like a corn tortilla in a beer, because I think that would be delicious. But it's more very sweet honey, like sweeter than honey, like agave-ish.
That's kind of a good way to put it. Yeah. I'm curious the actual, like, if I'm a random, mid-level craft brewer, like a lot of these guys, what actual mechanism do they use to get the corn in the beer? Like, is it syrup? Is it flaked maize? Is it
flaked maize? Probably. Yeah. It's probably the easiest to work with. Just
in the
mash.
If you're using corn syrup, that's just a pure fermentable, and you're probably not going to get anything from that.
Anything, yeah.
So
I've seen flaked maize bags laying around breweries, so I would assume it's that.
Cobs of corn.
I think I used flaked maize when I did corn beer.
Just corn cobs.
You eat all the corn off, and then you just throw the cob in there. It's like a stock, basically.
No, you can make corn wine that way, John. So you take a bunch of corn syrup, and then you take a bunch of corn cobs, and you throw them in. And you'll end up with a lot of fermentable sugar. Throw some yeast in it. And oh, yeah, you got some corn wine, Betty.
Is it just
go on Twitter and scream about how not owned you are.
It ain't bad.
Slowly turn into a corn cob.
Well, I'm moving on to the Casa Azul. This is from El Segundo Beer Company out of El Segundo, California. This is an amber lager. Since we're talking about malt character in lagers, this is a good one to kind of differentiate, kind of separate the beers that are coming up next, if there are any coming up next.
Gotta keep them separated.
We've got a lot of lager, so I think this is my first time having this beer. This beer won at GABF. It won a gold, I believe. Yep, it won a gold.
It's got gold.
So this is my first time having this beer, I believe, and it's fairly fresh. Let's see.
I think we've had it before.
I'm 100% certain.
I remember making the Blue House joke. I'm like, oh, because El Segundo is a Blue House logo.
Right. Yeah, so we have had
it. Somebody had it, but this was July of 2020, so that would have been remote shows. So one of us had it, but I'm not clear who without listening to the show. So
yeah, my notes on the blog these days are very not good. It's one sentence.
Well, good. Like if you don't want a summary, like fucking, you want to hear what we said?
For the beer.
Listen to the goddamn show.
The thing too with the remote shows is if you have chapter, if you can see the chapter markers in your MP3 or your podcast player, there are a lot more chapter markers because we go back and forth quite a bit, like talking, especially when we have like a grab bag of beers. It's just fractured all over the place, and it's a pain in the ass to do those chapter markers like that. But
hey, but we appreciate that you do, John.
Thank you. I appreciate that you appreciate that.
If you guys are using those chapter markers, just tweet at John. Tell him thanks.
Give us a one in the chat.
They're like, I don't use chapters. I'm in here right now. I'm just listening to you guys.
Right.
And some of the chapter markers even have photos of the beers, so that's fun.
We got a 0 in the chat.
Zero in the chat. We're going full binary today.
Thanks, Tenor Madness. Thank you. On Twitch. So this, I thought this would come off more. It's definitely, a caramel forward malty beer. Like that cannot be denied. But I thought it would be more heavy on the palate, and it's not. It's pretty light and refreshing for it being so dark, but you get like candy, like caramel characters from the flavor on this beer. Not too hoppy. I'm not really getting. It's a very well balanced beer. The nose again. I don't know. Squaw bread definitely comes through on the nose. Now that we're talking about squaw bread, because it's like that spicier kind of dark, meaty kind of chewy bread, and that's definitely what this smells like.
I'm pretty sure I looked this up before, so I think it was me that had the beer on the show. But I remember now reading this. I'm going to read it again, but it has weird malts in it.
Go for it.
Bark Pilsner malt, Wireman Abbey Malt and Crystal 150.
Okay. Abbey Malt.
Just those are like Abbey Malt and Crystal 150. If you're like, yeah, I'm making a Mexican amber, you're like, those are not two malts I would think would be in there.
The names of the malts are arbitrary, though, right? Like, I mean, when it comes down to it, you can make an Abbey ale without that Abbey malt, but because you're using the right yeast to make that. And so you can use Abbey malt in a Mexican lager or an amber lager to make to basically get the outcome you want, but it still comes down to the yeast character and the hops that you're using. So
I didn't even know crystal yeast went up to 150.
Really?
Crystal yeast
or crystal malt? Yeah,
yeah, crystal malt. Yeah,
Crystal 150 is really dark.
Yeah,
that's a lot of lovey bond right there, buddies.
You're getting into the realm of like not black malt, but like, you know, malts that you would use in like a stout, basically. So, and they're probably using it just for the color, you know, and I mean, not just for the color, but it's lending a lot to the color while also giving it like a really big caramel malt presence. Use it sparingly.
It's also known as the dark crystal malt, like with the puppets.
I can definitely see using Belgian Abbey malt in something that's a lager, because like if you think about beers like a Weihenstephaner, they have their Doppelbock that is I think what's the name of that beer? It's not an or beer. It's the only one that's not a Terminator or whatever, an or on the end. God, what's the name of that fucking beer?
You think it's Spaten?
Yeah, exactly. So a Doppelbock that's a little darker in hue. And if you drink one of those next to like a
Corbinian?
Belgian, Corbinian. So Corbinian next to a Belgian Abbey ale that's really double, that's really dark and sort of biscuity, and drink them blind, and it's like, wow, they smell almost exactly the same, except for the yeast character comes across more in the Belgian beer, but the malt characters are almost identical.
Yeah, when you mentioned that Abbey malt, I kind of got a whiff of Abbey in this beer, if that makes any sense. Like, I can kind of see it coming through a little bit. It's
suggestive.
Yeah, that's fun.
And what's so the Casa Azul Greg mentioned earlier, it's a Blue House, right? And Blue House, I think, was their early flagship beer. Like early on when El Segundo opened.
I want to say it was their first one. Because there's a reference to El Segundo with Blue House, right? I think.
El Segundo's logo is a Blue House, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and they had a Blue House IPA that was like their flagship years and years ago. Like back when I saw them on tap at like the hotel next to my building in downtown LA in 2005, it was like Blue House was getting on. Fun times.
Going back to my Lumino from Unsung, it's always a beer that I know that I'm drinking because the head completely dissipates into like a Chardonnay. It's like there's not a bubble anywhere to be seen on this beer, aside from just fine, tiny like champagne like bubbles coming up from the bottom of the glass. But there's no head to be seen, even if you coax it, swirl it. It's just barely any. It's an interesting beer, very bright, very delicious, very Mexican lager. This one has like more of the Pacifico vibes than anything.
Yeah, this one's very much like I mean, honestly, if you like amber ales, it pretty much is right in that wheelhouse, right? It's a little bit syrupy, but not too bad because the ABV is low and it's clean. It finishes clean, but a lot of bready, biscuity, like Maillard reaction kind of flavors on this beer for sure.
Maillard.
Very tasty.
It's like John Maillard.
John Maillard.
So
John Maillard III.
Good friend of mine, Mike, who used to work at the brewery. I think he now works at this place called Brevis. It's a non-alcoholic brewery here in Orange County.
Oh, really? I've heard of Brevis, but I didn't know they were an NA brewery.
Yeah, they're all NA.
I've had a couple of their NA beers. I didn't know they made a lager. I'm really curious how that is. That's a hard style to pull off.
It is. I had one with my lunch because it's NA. I'm like, hey, I can have a beer with my lunch.
Doesn't it still feel weird, though?
It does a little bit.
because I got a 6-pack of the Lagunitas IPNA, which is under 0.5%. And I mentioned this, I think, on Twitter when I spoke about it. I don't know about you guys, but when I drink like just a regular beer, let's just say IPA, you take your first sip and within like 5 minutes, you feel like a little bit of a change. Like you get a little warm.
Yeah. Then it goes away.
With myself, like my heart rate does increase a little bit. Like
rock hard.
Like a flagpole. Like I my body it goes through these weird changes, and eventually it does, it levels out, and everything is whatever. And unless I get drunk, like it's whatever. I got the same feeling from that beer, but there's no alcohol in it. I mean, okay, there's trace amounts.
Psychosomatic a little bit.
Yeah, it was very bizarre because like I got the same like warm feeling. My heart rate kind of increased a little bit, and I'm like, but there's no alcohol in this. Why is this happening?
Not only that, but non-alcoholic beers are really low in calories, like 40 or 50 a can at the most for a lot of the styles. This beer is really weird, you guys. You've had the Breweries and Hangar 24's Ichigo Highway, remember?
Oh, God.
I mean, I remember that
sour.
I had it, but I couldn't tell you about it.
It's a strawberry sour that I get notes of strawberry off of this. Strawberry and banana are two things you shouldn't think of when you're thinking of a Mexican lager, especially in like, it's like a strawberry sundae almost poking out of the glass. Weird. It's very strange. And then Ichigo Highway, that beer it was in, I don't want to say the word infected, but I think it was. And it had this like sort of, strawberry and sours has this weird sort of metallic-y.
It's kind of tannic.
It's got this
we don't want to say it was infected, but it definitely had some unplanned re-fermentation in the bottle.
There was something weird with it. And I get that out of this beer, and it bums me out because I want to try it again where I don't know if it's a clean version. I checked their Untapped of this beer, and there was a lot of people saying that, pretty weird descriptors for it, but I know my palate, and I've had that beer before, and it's almost identical to that.
There's something weird in NA beer where it's always so fucking sweet.
Yep.
And
that's the problem, right? Because you have to make up for the alcohol, the lack of alcohol with the sweetness that it does provide. Then you have to make sure it's not too thin. And so you want to add some body to it. That's the, I don't know. That's where the craftsmanship really comes in there. And you have to know how to make it.
Heineken is the only company that's made a passable NA lager.
No. Well, yeah. Okay. Lager. I will say that Brooklyn's ale, whatever it is,
Special
is really
Effects,
good.
I think it's called. That one is pretty good.
Really solid.
Special Effects is drinkable. And then the Athletic Double Dry Hopped IPA, not their regular IPA, is good. Those are the only 3 NA beers I can recommend out of every NA beer I've ever tried.
If you gave me this beer blind and said, what is it? I would say it's a strawberry wheat.
Weird.
Wow. That's crazy. Do you get any of that weird sweetness, funky sweetness on the flavor, though? Because that's the thing that I know exactly what Jason's talking about because I got it from the Lagunitas IPNA. It wasn't like enough to make me not want to drink more, but
sure.
I don't want to drink more because it was like, it was like once it warmed up a bit, it was a bit challenging to get through.
This is challenging. It's not very sweet. That's the one thing it does have going for it is very dry. But yeah, just that weird fruity note. Those esters are really popping out of the glass in such a way that, I mean, yeah, it's called Cerveza, but I don't get it. I don't know. I don't understand.
So it'd be fun if we did another Mexican lager showdown to throw that in there just to see what happens.
People would be like, "What the shit?"
I mean, maybe we like your opinion would be like a 180.
Pick it out of lineup for sure.
Excellent. Yeah. Okay.
So eagle-eyed viewers may note that I've been fucking around with a corkscrew for a little while.
Yeah. What the fuck? What the hell are you?
Pop card, bitches. Dos Fail, formerly an interesting lager, a wild Mexican-style amber lager aged in oak barrels with native yeast and bacteria.
Okay.
I guess technically that qualifies. Yeah.
Yeah,
I wish I
wild
was there to
card,
taste
bitches.
I'm gonna drive to Fontana right now and get a taste.
You can't, Greg, because COVID.
No, I can drive in his driveway and hold out my glass like Grey Poupon. Turn around, drive back. What else do I got going on today?
I mean, honestly, like before I just embraced the fact that I never leave anywhere, I did a bunch of those where I was just like, I'm just gonna drive to LA. I haven't been anywhere in fucking 2 months. Fuck it. Gonna pick up a beer in LA and drive home. Might as well.
My problem right now is like the numbers are so bad. If you get in a car accident, you're fucking dead.
Yeah.
I'm not going anywhere near LA. I mean, 1 in 4 people have COVID in LA. That's bad odds.
Well, better tested. So it's probably higher.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, LA. I love you, but not right now.
So this beer looks like a little bit lighter version of the Casa Azul.
That looks very dark to me.
It's pretty dark, but it's just a little bit lighter, like maybe 10 SRM or something difference. Not a huge one, but
because here's the Casa Azul on my end, and I mean, it's more brilliant, like you can see through it. Where Jason's is definitely more.
It's definitely cloudy.
Yeah. It's seen some time in a barrel. It's got some tannin.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it has that really nice, just like mixed fermentation, wild yeast smell. Oh man, it's so good.
My mouth is watering now.
And yeah, this is gonna be fucking great. I love Digard. I've never had a Digard beer I didn't like.
I like Digard as well. Wish I had some tacos.
Some tacos.
Pretty tart for Digard. Their stuff tends to be a little bit more funky than sour, but this one's got a little bit of tartness to it. It's also lost a lot of carbonation. So compared to all these other beers, it's a lot less carbonated, so it's a little sticky on the palate. But it's buongiorno. But it's it is pretty tannic, and there is a good barrel character to it, so it cleans up really well. Like it's a ride, dude. When you drink it, you're just like, okay, here's this, and then you're like, oh, now there's that, and oh, here's this. Like, it's pretty cool.
It's like a Mexican roller coaster,
right? Yeah, you get a little bit of kind of that tartness and the sweet on the front, and then it kind of coats your palate, and then you get that puckery tannic feeling that kind of feels like it cleans the beer up, so it doesn't linger and stay cloying. Dose fail from the guard. This beer.
What kind of Mexican food would you pair with it? Like a ceviche, or would you go more along the line of some mole?
Not mole. That's too sweet. I think this might work with ceviche. That sounds actually pretty good. I'm gonna try that now. I'm not a good food pairing guy though. Yeah, I mean, I just pair IPA and tacos with everything. So
yeah, exactly. Al Pastor. What would you pair with this Al Pastor?
That's right. Some Pastor tacos. You guys, I got a flat top cooker, and I went full taquero the other night. Like I had,
dude,
I had Pastor, I had asada, I had pollo going. It was dope. Flat top cooker is fun. If you have a bunch of room in your yard for a gigantic cook surface, it's a weird, fun way to cook. You can like get everything ready all at once.
What's the difference between a flat cooker and like
It's a plancha.
It's a what?
Yeah, it's basically a big, gigantic cast iron flat stovetop.
Okay.
And so you can cook like, instead of me cooking like asada, like a whole asada that I cook and then go inside and chop up, I'm taking like diced meat, cooking it in different sections. I can put the tortillas on there. You can I want to make like a little backyard Benihana. I got to learn to throw a shrimp.
Oh, dude, there's a restaurant in
Volcano
in Orange County that does sort of Benihana style Mexican food.
Oh, really? That would rule.
Yeah. Descanso, I think. Yeah, Descanso.
I gotta figure out how they do the onion volcano. I think it's just alcohol, right? Like they just put some sort of like food grade alcohol in there, and that's what makes it go on fire.
I would assume
some kind of oil, I think.
But
yeah, it's got to be some food grade oil, like oil.
But yeah, you can do like smash burgers and like
grease.
fried rice and other cool stuff. It's definitely like if you're backyard cooking, I would say it's like the third thing I would recommend after getting a real grill and smoker, but it's fun.
Have you
It
made
was my
smash burgers, Jason?
fuck yeah, it's the first thing I made, dude. So I cooked I cooked the whole thing of bacon, kind of got the surface all seasoned with the bacon and everything. Well, I'd seasoned it with oil and blah blah blah, long time. Cooked a bunch of bacon, fucking made some smash burgers, got those burgers fresh off the grill. People were like, "This is the juiciest burger I've ever had." I was like, "Fuck yeah."
Nice.
Nice.
Wonder if I could do a smash burger with like a, Impossible Burger patty or.
I don't see why not. It probably wouldn't hold together though.
Yeah.
You might need to bind it with like oatmeal or
need some kind of a fat binder in there.
I know. I'll try it. I'll get one of the Impossible patty would definitely work. I don't know how well the Beyond patty would work.
Yeah, I don't think the Beyond patty would work well at all. The Impossible would definitely work better because they've mastered that binding agent that makes it, not dry and still juicy, and that's the key to it. So,
but the big difference is you basically whatever's cooking is cooking in whatever comes off it. Where like in a grill, all the stuff drips down and you get some of the flavor of the smoke. But yeah, it's fun. It's fun cooker.
Cool.
So outside of the DeGard beer, Jason, I mean, do we need to pick a favorite? I think they were all pretty good.
Which one are you going to go back to? What's for me? Definitely, I have a shopping list of okay. I'm going to go back to Beer to Tang. I'm going to go back to Chapman Crafted and buy more of those beers because holy shit, like those are so good.
Yeah, so, and not to say aside from the NA beer that was kind of funky, not to say the other ones are bad. It's just
no.
Yeah.
So I always have kind of like a side beer that I'm drinking on, and I just decided to open a Pacifico for that. I got that to meet with Tim, but Tim didn't have. All these beers are good, but I'd still kind of rather drink this.
The Pacifico
is so good, dude.
Yeah.
On our Tuesday, which was Hell Day here in the US, I was like, I don't normally drink on midday, but I just needed a beer, and my wife walked up to the little store and brought back a 6-pack of Pacifico, and man, that beer is so good. Like, I don't know, whatever it is about Pacifico just brings me back to Mexico and chilling on the beach.
What's weird is we must have got a bad one on the showdown because it went 10th place. I hated it. But it was in the big brown like whale bottle.
Yeah, the Ballena.
You gotta buy it in cans or bottles.
I'm drinking a tall can from the gas station right now, so it's fresh.
Dude, in Mexico, you can buy a 20-pack bottles for like 50 cents a bottle, and there's like a $10 deposit on them. So like, if you finish one, you put the fucking thing back in there. Otherwise, you get beat up because you take it back, and that's like you're buying more beer with your deposit. It's rad.
That rules.
I gotta say, I was impressed with a Chihuahua Cerveza. I poured the rest into my glass when it's had time to warm up, and I get kind of a burnt toast character on the nose now. That's
Big Maillard.
It was not a Maillard thing, but like it charred toast.
John, can you move both arms?
Ashy.
Are you feeling any drooping in your?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. But
microphone.
I'm happy that I like the Chihuahua Cerveza because they are they are a craft brewery, and
they sell tall boys too.
They're gimmicky, and it's fine. You can be gimmicky as long as your beer is good, and I think it's a pretty good beer. But the Casa Azul, probably the best one. It definitely deserves its gold medal from GABF, and the Sublime beer. It's been refined over the last few years. It's a great beer. Nice. And the Tierra Madre from Mother Earth, solid buy. I recommend it.
Of the 4 that we drank, the Tierra Madre is probably the one I'd go back to.
Really?
Yeah. I tend to like more the light yellow Mexican lager, like your Corona style, not the amber or Vienna style. And so I just like it. It was a really solid example of that style of beer. I think they did a good job on it, and I would say of our little little grouping here. I mean, they got favored enemy because Taco Truck and El Sully are sitting over here undrank, and those two are both bangers.
Yeah.
But
I was just gonna ask you how's El Soli standing up, but yeah, we already know it's good.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're sitting here unopened, so I'm not gonna drink 8 beers for this show.
Yeah. No, 5 is enough. 5
All right,
enough.
guys. That was fun. You can stop recording.
Yep.
Ooh la la ah wee wee. Dude, good guy 2021. If there's one thing 2021 has going for it, when you're writing a date, and you write, like you go like you go like 1, I'll be like, oh, what's today's date? Yeah, oh, January 9th, 1/9/20. Ah, shit, 21. Like you just write 20, and then you fuck up, and then you just write 21 right after it.
Well, for 2020, I was writing 20 on all of like my things because someone could come back later and just add another 2 digits and make it a different year. So everything was 2020, and now we can go back to just being 21.
Sandro's thirsty. Stay thirsty, my friend. Sandro.
John Campbell from the YouTube chat, he appreciates the photos and the chapter markers. Thanks, John. I try.
It's work, baby.
Lemonade hanging out. Lemonade's always in here, and I want to give him a shout out if he's still here. I know we lost a couple because we basically ended the show, but
yeah.
Thanks for always hanging out, Lemonade.
Don't forget to drink your lemonade.
You might want to take 2020 off your screen name, though. It's a bad year. For you. We're just going to leave that one in the past.
Andy Richter's drinking his last bottle of Celebration. This was a while ago. This was about an hour ago.
Man, I didn't buy any this year. I was
about 20 minutes ago, I should say. Not an hour ago.
It could be so nice. You guys, I tried to rewatch The Wedding Singer a few months ago. Oof, man. It is all punching down, like the whole fucking movie. Like,
for sure.
There's so many jokes that are just like, oh, that guy's a tranny. Like, that's pretty much the whole movie. Like, is just all these jokes about the Boy George guy. And yeah, it's pretty fucking...
But that's how things were back then, so it's pretty accurate.
Yeah, and then also Drew Barrymore, like, is just bobblehead all the way through, where it's just like, oh yes, I'm here, wedding singer. It's me, Drew Barrymore, and this is how I act. It's like, Jesus Christ.
Sandro brought up in the YouTube chat, he said, forgive me if you guys already chatted about it, but any thoughts on Mike Hess on Instagram on their, quote, reopening manifesto? Man. I didn't see that. What's the deal with that?
Yeah, so Mike Hess is deleting.
Science is proven that,
okay, one at a time. What's happening?
You're staying open.
So, well, I mean, technically in San Diego, they can, because a judge ruled that those places could stay open for indoor and outdoor. Whether they should is a different question, but they did a manifesto, like...
It'll be like this whole big, like, the science has proven that actually nobody spreads COVID in restaurants, and outdoor dining is perfectly safe. And blah, 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 blah.
The argument is that scientists have proven there's no asymptomatic spread when that's not actually the case. It's a lot of speculation and conspiracy theory nonsense, because we still have to wear masks because you still could spread it asymptomatically. So
the name of the game with all these fucking COVID denier breweries has been like a brewery that I kind of like for like non-beer reasons, that I'm like, oh, I kind of feel bad. I should go there more and try to support the community. And then they're like, we're staying open through COVID. And I'm like, oh, you freed me. Now I don't have to feel bad for not going to your fucking shitty brewery.
Welcome to my life.
Like, the only brewery that's even like one I would even consider drinking beer from is Brewery X, because their beer has actually been pretty decent from when I've had it. But fuck them.
God, they've got multiple levels of no fucking way from me.
Yeah,
like No. Yeah, I do give you that. They make good beer. Like they've got talented people working there. But you're the people running like the marketing for that place and social media and making the decisions. Nope.
I don't follow anymore.
Sorry.
Don't follow
Sandro
it.
Also brought up Santa Fe Brewing. Haven't had them. Or maybe I have and I don't remember. Maybe they're from New Mexico. That was maybe in the New Mexico part of the chat.
Yeah, it was, I think.
The only thing I know about Marble is John and I were at GABF, and that was one of those breweries that kept winning over and over.
Okay.
They were one of those like habitual, like they just kept being on stage, and they had there was the most beautiful gal working for them. And I was like, man, she's hot. And that was it. That's my Marble story. I didn't go anywhere.
Greg's currently openly masturbating.
And that's how I remember Marble Brewing. Is that they had somebody
Marble is one of the breweries that's pretty regularly at the Firestone Invitational.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had a bunch of their beer there. La Cumbra is the same way. Both make really fucking solid beer. So not like good for New Mexico, but like good for the earth. So unlike a lot of breweries in the middle of nowhere where they make mediocre beer but there's no other options, so they become the big fish in a small pond.
Hey Greg, you playing any video games?
I'm just replaying old stuff.
Okay, nothing new.
I was playing Far Cry 5 with a kid over Christmas.
No one's playing Cyberpunk 2077.
No, it's too buggy. I'm waiting for multiplayer anyways. I'm gonna wait till they drop the price.
Yeah,
I never liked Fallout. I never liked Witcher. I never liked Mass Effect. And like those games all are getting mentioned together. They're just not the kind of games I like.
I
still playing Battlefield.
I tried Witcher 3 for about 3 hours, and I mean I only played it for 3 hours because it got sucked in. And once you like learn the combat, the combat and stuff like that, it's good. But it's been 3 weeks since I played it, and I've forgotten all the.
It's been 3 weeks since I played the game.
I'm probably not going to play it again.
I've been in a weird zone where I just really haven't fucking felt like playing video games for the last like.
I go through that too.
I took the week after Christmas off, and I was home the whole week, and I just didn't play shit. I watched TV and.
Like when I play Animal Crossing, I feel like I'm not even playing a game. I'm just in there doing my thing.
Just parting around, yeah. It's like doing work.
Well, it's not even work. Like there is definitely island maintenance that you have to do to make sure it still looks good. But I don't change really anything on my island. It's like its own little world that exists. I invited a new camper and kicked someone out yesterday. And but I played for 2 hours. But I was doing stuff, picking weeds and flowers that grew from when it snowed, and made a couple snowmen. But I would put the controller down and then do something else. I'd watch a YouTube video and then pick it back up, play it again. It's just such a great game. It's so good.
I still haven't played it.
There's no commitment unless you want there to be a commitment, and even if you don't commit to it, it's very forgiving.
You have Apple TV Plus, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, I have the Apple One thing where you get everything for $30 a month.
Have you watched Ted Lasso yet?
Of course.
It was so good.
Yeah.
Like I keep hearing about it and I'm like, bullshit. But it was the most uplifting, heartwarming show I've watched.
Did you pay for it or watch it?
Yeah. Yar. I boarded the 7 fees, my friend. I'm not going to give Apple $10 in dues.
It's a really good TV show, and honestly, the stuff that Apple has done in the past is really good. The stuff they have like multiple shows that they release that are renewed for like 2 more seasons that we're looking forward to. There's so much out there, and the problem with what Apple's offering is there's so much out there that people aren't going to pay attention to it, and that's the problem. But they need more shows like Ted Lasso, where literally everyone's talking about it and saying you have to watch this because it's that good. And
what's funny?
A lot of their shows aren't that good, but they're still good.
Did you know that whole thing came from like a sketch from a commercial?
Yeah, if you watch the credits, they credit like what, CBS Sports or something.
It's NBC Sports, yeah. But if you watch the commercial, it's funny because it's the same guys too. Like the assistant coach is the same guy.
Yeah.
And but it's just goofy, and like the heart that the character has in the show isn't in the commercial. So it's like somebody went through, and I think the somebody that went through who does a really good job of giving shows, like keeping them pleasant but not throwaway, is the creator of Scrubs. I'm blanking on his name right now, but he was in the EP on this.
I think also Jason Sudeikis was a big part of shaping the show itself. I mean, my understanding is he put a lot of work into, of course, his character, but the vibe of the show overall as well. Like,
yeah, but I think Bill Lawrence, his stuff tends to be that way. He did Scrubs, he did Cougar Town, which, despite its silly name, was actually a fun, sweet show. And I think it's just kind of like, yeah, this is another really pleasant, really nice show that's funny and genuinely heartfelt. And like, I was really surprised at how good it was. And I watched it. And
Leninade 3000.
Yeah,
he just changed his Twitch handle from Jason's recommendation, I'm assuming. He said the Beastie Boys documentary on Apple TV was really good. I concur. It was very good. So Jason, if you want to R that as well.
I already pirated that one. Yeah.
It's really good.
I've been meaning to watch it.
Yeah.
And then I watched the end of Mr. Robot, which was fucking weird. The plot of the show wrapped up on like episode 9 of a 12 episode season, and then they spend 3 episodes like going into the psyche of the main character, which kind of makes sense for the show, but it was a fucking ride, man.
Yeah, we watched most of that show, and then we just lost interest, like at the last half, like not in the last half, like the last third of it, and was like, okay, we're done. It's a show that you can go back and watch if you get bored, but it does take some. You have to pay attention to it. It's not like a background, like The Office. You can watch in the background and just enjoy it. And that's not.
Dude, have you seen how Peacock has like different tiers based on how much The Office you want?
Yeah, and they also have like
really.
Like they're like, if you want this amount of Office, it's $5 a month. This amount of Office is 10. This one has
That's
all
like a weird thing to gate
Office.
Right? They're just that convinced that everybody's gonna buy their. It's $45 to buy the whole show on DVD.
It's $30 on iTunes.
They're still on Comedy Central.
Yeah, like why would you pay $10 a month just to watch the fucking Office?
Yeah,
like,
I'm convinced
not that it's a bad show. There's just a million other ways to get it.
Until Peacock gets things that I can't get otherwise that I need, I'm not going to give them $10 a month. Like if SNL just goes to Peacock, I like no, because it's on. Well, it's still on Hulu, I believe. So, am I right about that?
I don't know. I just wait for somebody to post the like 3 good bits they did on YouTube, because I'm not going to watch like for an hour and a half show. They have like 30 minutes of good content. So I just wait for that.
Yeah, but I like the ritual of watching SNL. I get what you're saying, but I like watching the show, even though half of it sucks.
I like the world where somebody watches SNL for me and tells me the parts that were good.
No, I enjoy watching SNL. Like I have deep roots with SNL. Like it's one of my favorite shows, even though many years have sucked. It's yeah.
I still watch it. It's not horrible. I like the weekend update still.
It was funny when they were like, oh yeah, just wait till we have to. If you thought this Biden-Trump debate was bad, just wait till we watch Jim Carrey and Alec Baldwin reenact it this weekend. I'm just like, oh my God, I fucking want to watch nothing less.
Yeah, I'm over Alec Baldwin as Trump, as I'm sure he is as well. So Lemonade says that The Office the whole thing is $100 on iTunes. That doesn't sound right.
The $30 thing went away, is what I read somewhere.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
We already own it. We bought it like 10 years ago. So we would watch on Netflix because it's convenient, but now we're like, okay, we'll just go to the TV show section on Apple TV and now we can watch The Office.
I've been listening to the Office Ladies podcast, and it's a really good
loves that podcast. Yeah.
It's really good. For somebody who's like a behind the scenes nerd, like production, I want to learn everything that there is to know about production, and it's a really good insight too.
Yeah.
Like cameras and mics and fun stuff.
The Office is probably my favorite TV show of all time. It's so good.
I agree. It's rewatchable. It's really good.
Yeah. And I can bond with every single character, like the main, the characters that last throughout the show, not the ones that were on for like 2 or 3 episodes, but like every character is just so well developed and thought out. It's great.
My problem with The Office is later seasons got to be really cringy, like to the point of like, oh God, just stop, Michael. Like, stop it. Do you just want to yell at your TV?
When Michael was still there?
Yeah.
I'm talking like when he left after that is where I think it started to fall off. I get annoyed at those shows, but everything up to Michael leaving, I think is fantastic.
I've heard it got a lot better after season 1. I remember trying to watch it during season 1, and it was just like this is awkward, like cringe humor.
Yeah, they hit their stride season 2.
I work in an office, and just seeing people in an office be like, "Wow, isn't this awkward?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do that for 8 hours a day, every fucking day of my life. It's not fun or funny. Like being in an awkward office is just my life, and I don't find it entertaining. Thank you." But it did seem to hit a stride later. I don't know. I never got into it.
Yeah, for us, it's one of those shows where it's like, do we want to commit to a movie? Do we want to commit to something new, or carry on? Like, do we want to just zone out? Like, okay, let's just watch The Office because we know it's going to happen in every single episode, and it's entertaining, and it doesn't get old at all. You should, Jason, if you just went through season 1, no, keep going. That's the worst season.
We rewatched 30 Rock and Happy Endings a lot.
30 Rock I could not get into. Yeah.
It's entertaining.
I dug 30 Rock a lot. We, in fact, just yesterday we were referencing the sexy baby bit from 30 Rock. There's this new girl in the office. She's like, yeah, like she's like this bimbo-y blonde kind of girl. But I am a sexy baby. That guy's into it. And they're like, that homeless man, he could be looking at me. He's like, I'm not. I'm looking at her. It's Hannibal Buress across the room. Like, I'm not.
That's Brooklyn Nine-Nine has the same vibe as 30 Rock.
That's another one I never vibed on. It didn't
I'm okay with Brooklyn Nine-Nine, or that's the name, right? Brooklyn Nine-Nine. But it has the same feel as 30 Rock, and I feel like I could get into 30 Rock if I just forced myself to watch it. Because I have nothing against it. I just didn't get into it.
It's funny. It's got a good cast of characters. I like shows that have a lot of fun, weird characters, which I guess that's a lot of shows. But
yeah, you should definitely try again on The Office. It's so good.
Lemonade says Peacock sucks anyways. I can't think of anything that was ever on Peacock that I've been like, oh, I should get Peacock.
Yeah, we have it, the free one. We got Sling for everything.
I pay for fucking Shudder, and I still can't think of what I would watch on Peacock.
What is
By
Shudder?
the way, it's a horror.
Okay.
Honestly, I send them $5 a month, even if I'm not watching shit, just because I want to support the fucking weird arts.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to support horror movies. They had a Creep Show episode on Christmas that was great. It was like this guy realizes he's a werewolf and he goes to like a support group for other were-animal people. And the lore of the whole thing is that in the like lost chapter of the Bible, Santa is they have his name, like the Kris Kringle character is a werewolf hunter. Okay. And he goes to fight the main werewolf and he gets defeated and he gets cast out. So he turns to Satan and Satan gives him these really awesome triple claws, Satan's claws. And he uses Satan's claws to murder werepeople. And it just goes ape shit. And it's the fucking best. Like, nice. It's so fucking fun. It was great. If you have Shudder, check that out. Actually, if you have Shudder, check out Color into Space with Nick Cage.
Lemonade brought up the Criterion Collection channel, and that's cool that it exists, but I just have not watched any Criterion films ever. Like that's something that's so far back in the library. It's like I just can't.
Right, I I have the Criterion Rushmore, and I don't know what else
I
is
have a
on
couple
there.
of them.
I'm
Yeah,
looking
he
at
also,
what's in there.
Lennon also said Netflix is so mediocre. Yeah, I mean, again,
Totally.
that's one service that I think since The Office left, we could probably get rid of and not miss, which sounds weird to say. They have a lot on Netflix, but we
It's
don't
so
watch
mediocre. I agree.
a lot. Yeah.
I'm not like I watch a lot on Netflix. I like it all right. There is a lot of like Adam Sandler comedies and shit like that too, but there's a lot of everything on Netflix, so you kind of can pick and choose what you want.
Is Shadows on
watched
Netflix? What we did with
The
Shadows?
American Barbecue Showdown was really good.
Yeah, that was good. And then the Chef's Table Barbecue was really good too.
Mhm. We're watching that.
Big Mouth is great. Good Places on Netflix. British
Yeah,
Bake
Big Mouth
Off
is
on
good.
Netflix.
Yeah. We just finished watching The Sopranos again, I think 3 weeks ago.
You guys tried out Schitt's Creek?
Oh, yeah.
I'm
Oh,
on
yeah.
my second.
I'm
run-
hearing that's
run through.
another one that I should just skip to season 2.
No,
I agree.
you have to watch
I mean,
season 1.
You have to
get
watch season 1
context.
because it tells you the whole story.
Yeah. Dude,
I've watched the first
it's a
3
really
episodes
good
like
show.
twice. What was the other show? Oh, Sarah's been watching Bridgerton, and it's like Sarah watches a lot of the like British period stuff, but every time I walk into the room with Bridgerton, people are just fucking
Literally?
yes.
Why she likes it.
No, actually, like she's kind of a little bit like, well, it's a little bit much. Like this scene is 5 minutes long of just like the two powdered wig characters.
Does she scramble when you walk in the room while that's happening? Like,
oh dear, should I spit on it?
Put it in my beehole. That's my British period.
Put that in my beef waggle.
Spot on.
Spit spot.
Oh, I watched that Selena show on Netflix. It was fucking trash.
I'm sure.
So the family were the people that like put it on. It's done by like the brother and sister, and it is really their story. Like it is very much about them and their struggles being in the Selena band and not Selena at all. But it's marketed as a show about Selena, but it's really like her brother and sister being like, finally someone can pay attention to us.
You know what's
John,
weird is I can't. Yeah, what happened to John? I can't type in the comments for whatever reason on StreamYard.
Are you in the non-admin one?
Yeah, I don't have an admin.
Although you should be able to type, I think still.
I have I'm in private chat. I just type test, but on the comments I can't. Maybe I have to comment on Twitch. That's what I would assume.
No, we have the thing, but maybe because you're not in the admin mode or whatever, we can do that offline.
Nah, I'll just type in Twitch if I need to.
All right, I'm gonna bounce because I gotta pee.
All right.
Till the next episode. Thanks for hanging out, Lemonade,
beers,
Sandro, everyone who's still left.
Drinking a crowler, baby.
Yeah, I got a
Crowler
gang of
to the
beer over
dome.
here. Colin and Sarah to drink the rest. All right.
Yeah, dude. Bearded Tang's gonna be moving to Ontario soon.
No shit.
Yeah,
That'd be dope.
as far as I know.
Sweet.
All right, we
All
out,
right, man.
Johnny.
Heading out, John.
all right, guys.
Peace
Till the
out.
next episode.
Everyone that's still hanging out, thanks for hanging out. And we'll see you guys next week.